institutional pensions, and group funds. Sign up today for the Stanbic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the 15th Annual General Meeting of the Stanbic Income Fund Trust, which I now declare open. I will call upon the Secretary, Mrs. A.C. Korama Amwa, to read the notice of the meeting.
Notice is hereby given that the 15th Annual General Meeting of the unit holders of Stanbic Income Fund Trust, the fund, will be held virtually on Friday, June 19, 2026 at 12 p.m. and shall be streamed live to all unit holders from Stanbic Business Incubator, Silver Star Tower, Airport City, Accra, for the transaction of the following business. 1. To receive the report of the manager of the fund for the year ended December 31st, 2025. To consider the trustees' reports and the reports of auditors for the year ended December 31st, 2025. To receive and adopt the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2025. To appoint UHY Voscon Chartered Accountants as external auditors to replace Baker Tilly under in accordance with the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, to authorize the manager to fix the remuneration of the auditors, dated May 25, 2026, by order of the manager, Stanbic Investment Management Services Limited, on behalf of the trustee, Universal Merchant Bank Limited. Attendance and participation by all unit holders and or their proxies in this year's AGM of the fund shall be strictly virtual. Accessing and voting at the virtual AGM, a unique token number will be sent to unit holders by email and or SMS from Monday, June 1st, 2026, to give them access to the meeting. Unit holders who do not receive this token can contact the UMB on trust@merbancapital.com or call 0302-686-218 or 055-287-6830 anytime after Monday, June 1st, 2026, but before the date of the AGM, to be sent to the unique token. To gain access to the virtual AGM, unit holders must visit https://simcisagm.com and input their unique token number on Friday, June 19, 2026. For the unit holders who do not submit proxy forms to the trustee of the fund prior to the meeting, they may vote electronically during the virtual AGM again using their unique token number. For further information, please contact the trustee, Universal Merchant Bank Limited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Amwa. The first item on the agenda is to receive the report of the fund manager for the year ended December 31st, 2025. I call upon Mr. Nanabenyin Eiduforsin to read the report of the fund manager to unit holders.
Thank you. Dear unit holders and partners, I'm glad to welcome you to the 2025 AGM for the Stanbic Income Fund Trust. I'll share the highlights of the fund manager's report, which can be found on page 6 to 8 of the SIF annual report. I'll also focus on only the economic decisions that impacted the fund and also highlight on some of the things that impacted our performance. The global economy remained resilient, though constrained by the tighter financial conditions in 2025, elevated geopolitical tensions, and the lingering trade-related uncertainties. Global growth eased to 3.1% in 2025, reflecting weaker momentum in several advanced countries as higher interest rates slowed down the investment decisions. Growth was uneven across the regions, with Asia recording a strong performance, which offset the weaker GDP growth globally. Inflation pressures continue to moderate over the year. This is on the back of the deflation trend from 2023. Global headline inflation declined to an average of 4.2% in 2025, supported by the improving supply chain conditions and continued impact of earlier monetary rate tightening. However, the pace of disinflation slowed down in some major economies due to persistent service and wage inflation. Against this backdrop, several central banks maintained a cautious policy stance, with some initiating measured easing towards the end of the year. The Ghanaian economy underwent a significant reset in 2025, pivoting towards a phase of recovery and improved economic stability. Real GDP growth significantly outperformed expectations, expanding by approximately 6.6% year-on-year, the highest rate since 2019. This was supported by a significant surge in gold export revenues and a recovery in private sector consumption. Headline inflation declined sharply over the year, beating the Bank of Ghana's target to close the year at 5.4%. The moderation in price pressures and the currency stability provided the necessary room for the Monetary Policy Committee to shift towards a more growth-oriented stance. Consequently, the MPC rate reduced by 1,000 basis points to end the year at 18%. The fixed income market saw interest rates drop sharply, led by the monetary policy easing. Over the course of the year, we saw long-term bonds ease to around 15%, resulting to a meaningful gain for bond investors who were at mark-to-market prices. The steep downward trend in rates reflected the improved currency stability, easing inflationary pressures, and government fiscal discipline, and a gradual shift of the monetary policy stance. The repricing encouraged market rotation to equity and alternative investment opportunities. Interest rates for the 91-day T-bill and the 364-day T-bill range between 11.1% and 13%. The impact on the fund. During this period, the fund grew by 35.6% to 650 million approximately. The fund's total assets were split between SIF AMC and the SIF main class. The SIF AMC stood at 204 million, while the SIF main stood at 446 million. The main class posted a result of 35.3%, outperforming its benchmark of 21.1%, compared to SIF AMC, which performed year-on-year of 18.3%. The portfolio sought to focus on its primary objective, tilting towards corporate and sovereign bonds, whilst maintaining a portion for liquidity to cater for redemptions and take advantage of opportunities that came into the market. The fund continued to rebound, primarily because the market had enhanced in terms of bond activity and a decline in market yields due to governments improving macros. Looking ahead, the year 2026 is expected to mark a turning point in the domestic fixed income market. We've seen the reopening of the primary issuances by the government of Ghana, which we expect will signal a move away from reliance on the Treasury bill financing. Government's shift towards the medium to long term also gives us an opportunity to extend our holdings and reprofile the fund. At the same time, for government, it lengthens their maturity profile and also reduces their rollover risk. For bond investors, this evolving environment presents opportunities to reassess their portfolio positions currently. Newer bond issuances at higher coupon rates can coexist with their legacy instruments in the markets, allowing investors to selectively lock in yields at different possible tenors. Given the improved macroeconomic backdrop, the manager sought to refocus on its primary objective in medium to long-term corporate and sovereign bonds while managing liquidity requirements. To ensure all subscriptions of the fund were oriented towards the long term, the fund manager took a decision to halt all new inflows into SIF AMC and at the same time reopen the SIF main class to new deposits. The idea here was to allow clients who wanted to be exposure to the bond market to regain that exposure and benefit from the declines in the yield curve, whilst bond prices started to rise and benefit from market gains. We expect markets to remain volatile throughout the year, driven by renewed geopolitical tensions and heightened market uncertainty, both of which have slowed the final phase of the disinflationary trend. Looking ahead into 2026, SIPs will maintain a strategic position in the front end of the curve whilst preserving minimum liquidity position of about 5% to meet redemption requirements and provide flexibility to capture market opportunities as they arise. The fund is expected to remain significantly weighted in the 2027-2028 maturities, which are anticipated to serve as the primary anchor for the fund. This positioning reflects our view that the medium end of the curve allows or offers an attractive yield whilst giving you interest rate risk management. In other sense, the lower duration exposure and the reduced price volatility of the front end compared to holding longer term bonds allows the fund to both take advantage of the higher rates while not being as volatile as a fund which invests in longer term bonds. This position is intended to enhance the portfolio's resilience in an environment where interest rates and macroeconomic conditions remain uncertain. The fund has adopted a measured and cautious investment stance, considering potential market volatility, fiscal uncertainties, and the evolving geopolitical landscape. Within this environment, the fund will continue seeking opportunities to diversify return drivers while maintaining a disciplined approach to risk management. To conclude, I would like to notify investors once again that the fund is valued at mark to market, and therefore remains exposed to movements in interest rates, market liquidity, and the credit risk of the underlying issuers. The fund will also revise its benchmark to be more reflective of the underlying exposure and movements due to mark-to-market methodology of valuation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forson. The next item on the agenda is to consider the trustees' report. I will now call upon Mr. Bernard Anumel to read the trustees' report for the year ended December 31, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, on behalf of Universal Merchant Bank, I present to you the reports of the trustees to the unit holders of Stanbic Income Fund Trust. In our opinion, according to the information made available to us and the explanation provided, we confirm that in all material respects, the manager has managed the scheme during the period covered by this financial statement in accordance with the trust deed dated 31st December 2029 as amended on 21st May 2025, and all regulations for the time being in force under the Securities Industry Act 2016, Act 929, as amended in the Securities Industry Act 2021, Act 1062, and the Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulations 2021, LI 1695. Madam Chair, I respectfully submit the trustees' report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anumel. I will now ask the representative of the auditor, Baker Tilly Under and Under, in the person of Ms. Ruth Avonyo, to read their report.
Okay. Thank you. Independent auditors report to the fund, to the members of the Stanbic Income Fund Trust. Opinion: we have audited the financial statements of Stanbic Income Fund Trust, which comprise the statement of assets and liabilities as at 31st December 2025, income and distribution accounts, portfolio statement and capital accounts for the year ended, and notes forming part of the financial statements, which includes a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes as set out on pages 21 to 27. In our opinion, the company financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the fund as at 31st December 2025 and its financial performance and its cash flows for the year ended in accordance with the IFRS accounting standards and in the manner required by the Securities Industry Act 2016, Act 929 as amended in the Security Industry Act 2021 Act 1062. The Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulation 2001 LI 1695 and the Trust Deed dated 31st December 2009 as amended on 21st May 2025. Basis for our opinion. We conducted our audits in accordance with the international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement sections of our report. We are independent of the fund in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for the Professional Accountants issued by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. They are matters to be addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon. We do not provide a separate opinion on those matters. There were no material key audit matters to report on. Other information. The manager is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the financial statement does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information and, in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statement or our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work that we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, then we are required to report that fact. We have nothing to report in this regard. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Compliance with the requirements of Part 9 of Schedule 8 of the Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulation 2001 LI 1695. We confirm that we've obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and beliefs, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the fund so far as appears from the examination of those books. The fund's financial statements are in agreement with the accounting records and returns. In our opinion, the fund generally complied with the relevant provisions of the Securities Industry Act 2016, Act 929, as amended in the Securities Industry Amendment Act 2021, Act 1062. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Samuel Abiao. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avonyo. I now call on Ms. Paulina Okai to present the highlights of the audited financial statement for the year ended December 31, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll speak to the financial performance of Stanbic Income Fund Trust for the year ended 31st December 2025. Referencing page 15 of our financials, we note that the total assets increased from 479 million to 650 million in 2025, approximately a 36% year-on-year increase. This was a factor of mark-to-market gains on the bonds, returns on investments, and net subscription fund investors. The portfolio continues to remain well diversified across Government of Ghana bonds, corporate bonds, and money market instruments. In terms of total asset composition, we had the Government of Ghana bonds accounting for approximately 55% of total assets. Money market represented 38%, and then we had the cash and corporate bonds being 2% and 5% respectively. On a year-on-year basis, the fund increased its investment in money market instruments to improve upon the liquidity of the fund, and this increase happened mainly on the subclass, which is heavily invested in money market instruments. When you move to page 16, we have the earnings, where it can be seen that we had strong income growth year on year. Our total income increased from 84.3 million in 2024 to 163.5 million in 2025. Substantial growth, which is about 100% or double growth on year. This growth was driven primarily by higher interest income earned on fixed interest deposits, which had rates that we had agreed and logged in at the beginning of the year for longer tenure on the fund. And this allowed the fund to benefit from higher yields for most parts of the year, despite the decline in rates at the latter part of the year. The performance was further supported by mark-to-market gains on the bond holdings. Expenses also moderately increased from 9.5 million to 13.3 and reflective of the AUM growth. As a result of this, the fund generated net investment gains of 150 million compared to prior year of 74.8 million. So overall, SIF delivered very strong value for its units while still maintaining its focus on sustainable income generation, capital preservation, as well as disciplined risk management. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is my submission.
Thank you, Ms. Okai. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the fund manager's report for adoption. I now call on the secretary, Ms. Samoa, to take us through the comment and voting process on the motions put forward.
Steps to comment or ask questions. To second the motion, send a comment or a question. Kindly locate the chat box at the right or bottom side of your screen. Type and submit your comments and questions. How to cast your vote. We have provided two options to enable you to participate in the voting exercise in real time. To vote via the online platform, kindly locate the vote box on the bottom of your broadcast screen and follow these steps. Enter the unique token number used to join the meeting. Click Cast Your Vote. Once you have done this, you will see a list of resolutions to be voted for. Follow the voting process by clicking the plus sign, then select your voting option. To vote via the short code, dial *899*0# on your phone. Enter the unique code used in joining the meeting. Once you have done this, now select your vote option and send. We recommend that you use the short code *899*0# when you are unable to access the online platform. Note, you cannot vote once the chairperson closes the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Samoa. I hereby move that the fund manager's report for the year ended December 31st, 2025, submitted to the meeting and it's hereby received and adopted. Would someone please end this motion? To second the motion, kindly go to the chat box, type your name and type seconded.
Madam Chair, Mr. Bernat Ni Adamatego seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Madam Chair, whilst we wait for the questions, someone said you did not introduce yourself, so if you may introduce yourself whilst we wait for the other questions to drop.
My apologies. By way of introduction, my name is Brenda Kisi, the Chief Commercial Officer of Stanbic Investment Management Services Limited. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have a question from Nana Kunedu Yadom Boateng. The question is, when will the SIFT AMC open to accept new deposits?
Mr. Nanabenyi Forsen would take this question.
Thank you for the question. So last year we did a realignment program. Basically, we want clients who are more suited or have a lower risk profile or want a money market fund to rather invest in the cash trust. The cash trust AMC is both is a money market fund that is attractive and similar to the SIFT AMC fund. That's any client who would want access to the SIFT AMC fund, we advise that you rather invest in cash trust AMC. Thank you.
Mr. Forsen, is that to say the SIF AMC will not be open?
Yes, so just to reiterate, the SIF AMC is no longer going to receive any new deposits. The fund is being wound down. Fund will be actively managed until all unit holders exit the fund. But as I would like to reiterate, any client that was seeking a money market fund should rather ask or call our investment advisors to ask about cash trust. Cash trust is available and that fund is open to investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forsen.
Madam Chair, there are no questions in the chat box.
Do we have anyone to second the motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, Mr. Bernat Ni Adamatego seconded the motion.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the fund manager's report for the year ending 2025. closed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, at the end of voting, 19 people voted for the motion. No one voted against the motion, and no one abstained from the motion.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the trustees' report and the report of the auditors for the year ended December 31, 2025. I hereby move that the trustees' report and the report of the auditors for the year ended December 31, 2025 and submitted to the meeting be and are hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion?
Madam Chair, Ms. Eugenia Naaka-Ilomo has seconded the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Madam Chair, there are two questions in the chat box. The first one is asking if SIFT AMC is safe. However, this has been answered in the chat box. I don't know if Madam Chair would allow it to be answered here as well.
Yes, it's allowed to be answered. Nana Benyin will take this.
Yes, SIF AMC is safe. The fund is valued at held to maturity. The fund only holds bank fixed deposits, thus it has no exposure to Government of Ghana securities. The fund also maintains its exposures into shorter denominated papers, usually between the 30 to 182-day tenors. This allows us to reprofile as interest rates go up as well. So in terms of returns, the fund's returns are very coincide with where bank fixed deposit rates are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forson.
Madam Chair, we also have a question from Mr. Alfred Botry. Mr. Botry is asking, what is the single biggest risk that could permanently impact shareholder value over the next decade? And what concrete actions are you taking today to reduce that risk? Madam Chair, I would like to take the question again. What is the single biggest risk that could permanently impact shareholder value over the next decade? And what concrete actions are you taking today to reduce that risk?
Mr. Forson will take this question.
Thank you. So in terms of the largest risk that we do face is macroeconomic risk. In fact, the government's fiscal discipline, as has been proven from last year, has proven that with the fiscal discipline that they've shown, interest rates have really reduced, and that has led to an improvement in our economy. Now, our largest exposure is to Government of Ghana securities, and we are diversified across many tenants in order not to be overexposed to their assets. Such as I mentioned earlier during our strategy, our largest holdings are weighted in the 2027 and 2028 maturities. Thus, those shorter duration assets will lead to less volatility within the fund. At the same time, in the long run, we keep an eye on the ball in terms of how the government is managing their finances. The reopening of the bond issuances is a way of us seeing that the government wants to move away from the short end of the market when it comes to borrowing from the treasury bill market and rather extend their refinancing or rollover risk to the longer end of the market. I believe this is something that would comfort investors in the long run and protect us from any windfalls. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forson. Mr. Kwabnabuama, Managing Director of SIMS, would like to add on.
Thank you, Brenda. There was a question around whether the SIF AMC was safe. I just want to add that every investment that one makes has some level of risk. And once you are investing, there is risk. But what the portfolio managers do is to manage the risk so that they don't crystallize, or even if they crystallize, the impact is minimal. So please understand that all the investments that you do, whether treasury bills, fixed deposit, shares, real estate investment, there are risks in them. The risk, however, in each of these investments are different. Some are low risk, others are medium, whilst others are high risk. Please speak to your investment advisor for more information as you make your investment decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boama. Are there more questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair. There's a question from Mr. Wilson Kwame Klu. He's asking, where are SIFT funds invested currently?
Thank you, Mr. Moa. Mr. Forson will take this.
Thank you. About 55% of the SIF's holdings are invested in Government of Ghana bonds and corporate listed instruments. And about 45% is invested in money market securities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forson. Any more questions?
There are no more questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Mr. Samoa. I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the trustees' report and the report for the auditors for the year ended December 31, 2025. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, at the end of voting, 17 people voted for the motion. No one voted against the motion, and no one abstained from the motion.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to receive and adopt the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2025. I hereby move that the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2025 and submitted to the meeting be and are hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion?
Madam Chair, Mr. Lawrence Kwekudo Gomado seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair. The first question is from Mr. Wilson Kwamiklu. He's asking if you invest any offshore.
Mr. Forson would help us.
Thank you for your question. Currently, the fund does not invest in any offshore assets, but we are working on products that will meet that need. Thank you.
Mr. Forson, are there any more questions?
Yes, Madam Chair. There's a question from Mr. Jonathan Adote Papo. He's asking, are you likely to lose your principal with the SIFT?
Mr. Forson will respond.
So with SIF, funds are marked to market, both principal and interest. Clients must understand that the clients, if prices do go up or go against you, your funds, yes, you can lose part of your principal, but in the long run, your funds would recover. That's why SIF has a minimum holding period of 2 years. And also, if you look at it with our main maturities within the 2027 and 2028 maturity holding periods, you would see more upside than downside in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forson. Are there more questions?
Madam Chair, there are no more questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Ms. Amwa. I declare the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to appoint UHY Vascon. I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the audited financial statements for the year 2025.
Madam Chair, at the end of voting, 18 people voted for the motion. No one voted against the motion, and 0 people abstained from the motion. Sorry.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to appoint UHY Vosson, Chartered Accountant, as auditors to replace Baker Tilly Under in accordance with the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. I hereby move that UHY Vosson, Chartered Accountant, be appointed as external auditors to replace Baker Tilly Under in accordance with the Companies Act 2019, Act 922. Would someone please second this motion?
Madam Chair, Mr. Daniel Rexford Nyamiche seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Madam Chair, there are no questions in the chat box.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to appoint UHY Vosson, Chartered Accountant, as external auditors to replace Baker Tilly Under in accordance with the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, at the end of voting, 15 people voted for the motion, 1 person voted against the motion, and no one abstained from the motion.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the manager to fix the remuneration of the auditors. I hereby move that the manager be and is hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditor for the year ending December 31, 2026. Would someone please second this motion?
Madam Chair, Mr. Isaac Kwame Akese seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Madam Chair, there are no questions in the chat box.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to authorize the manager to fix the remuneration of the auditor for the year ending December 31, 2026. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, at the end of voting, 20 people voted for the motion. No one abstained or no one voted against the motion.
I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Sims, the manager of the Stanbic Income Fund Trust, I would like to thank you for your continued interest in the fund's affairs and for attending this meeting. I hereby declare the meeting formally closed. Thank you.
We are one of Africa's and Ghana's largest fund managers. Stanbic Investment Management Services provides world-class money management services to individuals, institutional pensions, and group funds. Sign up today for the Stanbic Cash Trust or the Stanbic Income Fund and experience diversified and flexible investment solutions. Managed by your investment specialists. Stanbic Investment Management Services is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and registered with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. Stanbic Investment Management Services. Stanbic Bank. It can be.